on here. These are the same three pigments that I used yesterday, and I think I'm going to start with them again. They worked very well, even though this is a very different porch. I think that these three pigments will work nicely for starting. And the pre-wetting on the paper, as I said, will allow me to move these pigments around. Okay, so what do I have? I'm talking about three pigments. I've got Cobalt Violet Deep right here. This is Cheap Joe's Mint Julep, and I'm so happy to know that now I'll be able to still get it. Yay! Mint Julep by Cheap Joe's. And this is yellow ochre, okay? And now I know in particular with the cobalt violet deep and the mint julep, if I mix them together, I get some lovely grayish tones. So I just want to show you, and that's the reason why I picked these two pigments in particular for starting, because this is a rather grayish looking porch. It is. If it starts looking too cold, however, I can warm things up with a bit of yellow ochre. So that was my rationale for picking these three pigments. I think I need a little more of the green. Okay, so I've got to start. I really don't want to mix them a whole lot on the palette, though. I'd rather have them mixing here, which is why which is why one of the reasons why I'm pre-wetting. So I'm just going to add a little bit water, right? A little bit more water right now. Let's make this nice and wet. I want to make sure it's shiny. Can you see the shine? Look how shiny it is. Okay, really shiny. That tells me that it's really wet. And boy, oh boy, this uh, paper today is really buckling. It doesn't always buckle this much. What I'm going to do is pull off the two bottom clips, and I tug on them a little bit. You can put a fair amount of pressure on watercolor paper, even when it's wet. You're not going to rip it. I put a little pressure on them. Maybe I need to tug on the upper ones too. It's funny, the paper sometime, maybe it's the yesterday's water thing. Actually, I don't think so. Sometimes it seems to buckle more than other times. All right, let's just deal with it. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start. Here's where I'm going to start. This Adirondack chair is greenish. In reality, it's kind of a turquoise color, but I'm going to start with the just to put some of the mint julep right here in this vicinity. By the way, you can see I'm using, for now, my 1-inch flat wash brush. I use the 1.5-inch wash brush to wet the paper. I like to, if I'm going to paint with one of these wash brushes, this is my Mottler by Princeton. If I'm going to paint with a wash brush, with one of these Mottlers, I like to use the 1-inch because it fits perfectly in the paint wells on the palette. It's really nice. Okay. Now I'm just going to take that green and move it beyond the chair. Where the chair pops up above the window, well, I can get the green in there just a little bit. I haven't pre-wet, but I can pull a little of that paint up if I want to. But for now, we'll just do that much. Okay, let's use some of the um, cobalt violet up to the top. I'm feeling like in this.
Alexis, could you zoom out,
Oh,
please?
thank you, Shar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shar. Okay, so as I get to the top, I'm going to use more of the cobalt violet. What was I starting to say? Oh, yeah, the way I'm thinking of this partial underpainting is that I kind of want to set up a gradual change. We can refer to it kind of as a gradation. I want it more purple. Actually see the purple as cooler than the green. That's just the way my eye sees it. Cooler. So I want it cooler towards the top, moving down towards the green, which is a little bit warmer, and then going into some of the yellow ochre down. Whoa, that looks really warm, doesn't it? Um, Towards the bottom. Okay, so we're starting to set up a bit of a gradation. Now, the paper is, and this is nice and white. This is just what I wanted, just what I wanted. Now, some of this green now, I'm going to move it into the purple, and that's going to gray it down. Remember I said that the mint julep, if any of you happen to have it, it's on my supply list. Not that I require you to buy anything, but if you've bought it over the years, if you've got that mint julep, if you mix it, and see, I'm mixing it now on the paper, and what it's doing up here, the mint julep moving into that purple, the cobalt violet is a purple or a lavender, it instantly grays it. So this here now looks grayer. I'm going to leave a little of the cobalt violet asserting itself over here. I'm kind of feeling like I want to let it. I'm putting some more on my palette now. It's kind of running out. I'm feeling kind of like I want that cobalt violet to perhaps assert itself a little bit more right through here. So we'll get a little bit more of it right here. Okay, so now I've got the pigments moving through the painting kind of the way I want them to. The yellow ochre down here is pretty much standalone. Let's get a little of the cobalt violet into the yellow ochre. Yeah, that's going to be nice. Okay, and that's going to dull it a little bit as well. Okay, so this is the way I wanted to start this painting, setting up that cool, shadowy, quiet feeling for the whole thing. Um, and I'm going to stop painting in a minute or two and let this dry. And I'll come back to it later. But before I do that, you know what I always like to do before I call it quits on an underpainting? I think I have to add more paint. It's looking pretty good. If you're going to make an underpainting like this and it looks pretty good, what I'm going to say to you is, guess what? It's going to dry lighter. With all the water in the pigment, all the water, the pre-wet paper, and then so the paper was pre-wet. There was lots of water on the paper, lots of water in the paints on the palette. All that water, when it dries, it's going to lighten up a whole lot. So I'm just going to hit most of the areas, especially what's here at the top, where eventually it's going to be thrown into shadow. Let's add a bit more paint. I'm still using the same pigments, no changes there. But let's add some more paint. Okay, that's better. The value's going to hold up better for me. If it dries a little bit lighter towards the bottom, that's not going to be a huge problem. One last thing I am going to do is grab my fan brush and just quiet down some of my strokes. I'm not too worried about watermarks. That's not an issue. And frankly, if I get a watermark, I'm not gonna worry about it. But I do want to quiet down some of the brush strokes. Okay.